I'm excited about. I know that we're going to make a difference to all of these families.
Welcome to Auro Focus. Voices leading change.
All right, Rose, Auro Focus. We're talking through what is an exciting project for us, and we're going to give a bit of a teacher's perspective today on what the landscape looks like as educators in 2024. So I've been in education teaching since 2004. How long have you been in teaching?
2016.
So you've been in a while, so nearly 10 years yourself, and we also we know and recognise that that the challenges being presented in classrooms today in ECE centres and things like that are far different to what we have come across, and unfortunately, what that does do is it does often leave a lot of children out in left field where teachers just don't know or are working on ways of how to support their individuality and their uniqueness. So Auro is from the teacher's end is really driving towards really providing extra layers of support for our educators. So in that space, let's talk through some experiences we have had in this space where. And we've got to make it clear, this is not us bagging ministries or anything. We love what the ministry does, but they are confined by their what operations they have. That is them. And I think, sometimes we get frustrated, but we still think they do the best that they can. But we're talking through some scenarios where we really want to help children and their individuality and individual needs and what's been presented. So let's talk through a couple of examples. I think let's start with autism. Autism is a great place to start. So what are we starting to see, or what some typical examples that we're seeing in rooms that educators now come across in that space?
I think I want to kind of go back to, so I've got experience as a primary school teacher, an SEE teacher, and now a centre leader of an SEE centre. And in each of those roles, the things we're seeing that I want to address with Auro Focus, through Auro Focus, are the same. So regardless of the age or I've worked in different communities, the things we're seeing are consistent.
Yes.
And the support is inconsistent.
Yes.
So that's the thing. So I just want to
get clarity around.
It's just so inconsistent, and I think that the level of support for teachers who are supporting our tamariki with these additional needs is inconsistent. The information and knowledge and strategies that parents have to support their own child with these needs is really lacking. For the accessibility of it is lacking, and the same with these children they deserve to come in and have the best opportunities, and the way that we can help that is through supporting them with really tailored and responsive plans.
So we're talking about, we've kind of narrowed down three real big things that really stand out to us. So we picked this up on a Jeff Bezos podcast with Lex Friedman, and he talked about that Amazon has three big things, and those big things take up all your time. Those are the things that we continually work hard towards. And good to give you an idea, for Amazon, he spoke about speed, price, and selection. So in 10 years' time, no one's ever going to say, "Oh, I love Amazon, but I wish you'd deliver my books slower," or "I love Amazon, I wish wish your prices were way more expensive." That no one's ever going to detract from that. So what were our three that we've kind of landed on? May not stay, but we feel like these are our big three.
The speed of response, so really making sure that it's fast. The accessibility to services is taking upwards of. We recently had a conversation with a service provider, and they can't help this family for nine months. And this is a child that needs help now, a family that needs help now, a teaching team that needs help now. 9 months down the track, what does that look like? Everything's going to be harder. So the speed of it, the effectiveness of it, we want it to be really actually see the change and quickly. So really wrap around in all parts of that ecosystem. and be unique, because yes, we are seeing children with the same diagnosis of ASD potentially, but actually their needs are very different. They're very individual, and we need to make sure that that's what we're doing too. We're catering to that individual in their unique circumstance.
So speed,
not a template of this is,
yes,
this works for other kids like this. What works for this child?
yes. So speed. Let's start and stay on speed for a bit. So speed in terms of just that process, we have found already in the couple of instances that we've dealt with, we have managed to get it solved within, get to a plan in place and support within 2 weeks already. Like we've already proved to ourselves, and we want to go out and do this with other centres too. But we've already proved that we can do that, and that's because the resources on our doorstep.
And also looking at that process of how we actually get that support, because in the past, I think some of the delay has actually been the paperwork involved is actually too much or not efficient. It's not fast enough. So it gets put off and it gets left because it feels too hard, or I didn't have time to get to that today. So we've tried to, from our experience as teachers and centre managers, just been able to speeding that process up so that actually it's not labour intensive to do a referral in the first place.
So the speed has come from not just moving fast, but condensing down the process.
And not having a lack of, we're not compromising on the quality of information we're putting in the referrals or the detail, but it's just that process is actually refined so that there's less steps and it's very clear and the timeframes are tight.
Yes, and we've been very clear about our time frames, kind of 48 hours, and we'll tighten up in those spaces. But what we are trying to do is really alleviate it as soon as possible. And like you said, 9 months for a family who's flagged up that they want to support. 9 months, and that was just to get a form. That's not even action. So we're looking at probably 12 to longer before a proper plan, let alone take into account Christmas holidays and all that sort of stuff, leave and
certain people take
school holidays and whatever. We're really looking at a certainly a 15, 16 month process.
And I always think that 9 months, so much can change for a teacher who really knows that child could leave.
Yes.
So we lose all of that information. The child will developmentally be at a different stage, but also their brain's been under potentially all that stress for 9 months, and the family has been under that stress for 9 months. And so how is that could that lead to separations and it can actually get really complicated if it's not quick, because things that we can do now can really start that positive trajectory now.
And what we've noticed is with some of the stuff we've already been involved in, it's actually also amazing to walk in and alleviate a lot of the stress for our teaching team. The teaching team feel immediate relief when they have someone walk in and say, guys, love what you guys are doing. Far out. A, B, C, D, that is unbelievable. You must keep doing that. Hey, have you thought about this? Have you considered this? And I've noticed, we've just seen some turnaround in how teaching teams suddenly feel like
empowered.
Empowered, and I'm not left alone. Listened to. But also the perception of potentially the child and the family can really change too when they get that deeper understanding of what's going on. Because as teachers, we do that, but with adding another level of depth to that, you can really start to see why the behaviours are happening, not just the behaviours. Yes, and we start to look at the deed and not the dude. You start to look at the deed, not the dude.
Which our teachers are great at, but it just provides them with that little bit more information that can really, really let them level up.
Well, it can get skewed too when you're under fatigue and you feel like you're not being listened to and you feel like you're under pressure and you really want to help children. We all do. All teachers go into that room. They want to help, but then you're not being heard, or you need more information, or your process, you haven't captured A, B, C, D.
I need a page of observations.
Yes, when you're
when you're dealing with the actual behaviour. And trying to, in the moment.
And trying to support whānau to understand what's going on. And I think part of that also comes back now onto our second part, which is effectiveness. And what we're doing immediately is bringing in someone who has far deeper insight into other spaces that the teacher and even you and I mean, you've got a psychology degree, but I don't, and I've got 20 years of experience. But there's still things that we are seeing today that we're still taking a guess at. And me personally, I am not about to ask our teams, nor myself, would I expect this of myself, to guess on what we think is going on with a particular child, when we could actually bring in effective help and support. That's the real key to this.
Yeah, with that level of knowledge and the different skill set. It's a totally different,
And their network as well.
Yeah, yes.
See, that's the other thing we talked about. It, it's like if I talk to my mate who's played NRL and I say to him, "Hey, do you reckon you could get me a chat with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck?" He's like, yep, I could organise that. Yet if I just email Roger, he's just going to be like, "Don't know who you are." Yeah. The network of already what we've got and who we can plug into immediately has changed.
And just the level of knowledge of what's out there for us is growing too, because as we meet these people and we dive into their area of expertise, we are learning what's actually available for these families too, and how that can come into another level of support so that it's coming from all angles.
And that leads us to the unique.
Yes.
We met with Naomi from PHO. What an amazing lady. And man, there is so much out there.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
But it's overwhelming. But it's also just like, where do we find that information?
Yeah.
Who? If I don't know someone who knows someone who knows someone, or who, like a superstar like Naomi, like you just left to be Googling and to your own devices, you hitting dead ends. Yeah. And as a parent and as a teacher, it is massively impactful on your own psyche around trying to get support for children, because you're like the dead ends. Or you just get nowhere. Yeah. And what we learned from Naomi was that there is just so much out there, but unfortunately, crazily, it's just not under one umbrella.
Yes.
And that's what Auro's real mandate is around. Let's roll this all into one space. Let's start early, and let's really make sure that the uniqueness of the individual is the mana of the unique individual is enhanced by us actually getting individuals who know how to actually deal with this. It's already in the 4 or 5 weeks we've been rolling. It has been crazy how much information we've come across by really digging into that space.
And just the potential of how many people we can help is what really I'm excited about. I know that we're going to make a difference to all of these families.
It does make us emotional. Yeah. It does make us emotional. Courtney and I, we really feel like Auro should have been built when we first started, and it's cool now we're starting to connect in and plug in with people that believe in it. Like Naomi was like, we all know that it should start earlier,
but there's nothing not much for children in early child in our range, in our sector. There's not much out there because often it's a stage and age where things are developing and they're growing so fast that actually this might just be part of what is normal. But we are clearly seeing individuals that need lots of support. Like I said, Johnny won't grow out of it. Yeah. That's the chances are. I think back to my own neurodiversity journey, and we're laughing about my ADHD thing when I was just vacuuming the floor over here, and some of the behaviours I get to, but also some of the overwhelm, that I have with my neurodiversity, and some of the intensities that I have with my neurodiversity. But imagine understanding that earlier in your life. But also think about the child that's 2, 3 that cannot verbalise what their urges and what's really carrying them into spaces like that. I know that you don't ever want to label children naughty. That's what teachers, we do not want to do that. But if we don't bring in support earlier, this is a label that they carry anyway, because the centre or the school can't deal with them or whatever, and it's just not good enough. The pattern, yeah. It's also we're not going to over medicalise it and just go out and be like, diagnose everybody with all these things, because that's probably not what's going on for everybody.
Yes.
But we need to get to the bottom of what is. So that's another thing that I think Auro Focus is really strong, is that we're not just going to go out and give everybody labels and be like, you need this. Like, that's not our aim.
No.
Our aim is just to really understand each child that needs that extra awhi and how we can provide it.
And if we think about our three key stakeholders, whānau, child obviously, and teachers, and that ecosystem of support around a child, all three of them want fast, effective and unique support spaces that no one in that group will deny it. They won't say, oh no, I don't want it to be fast, I want it to be effective, don't want it to be unique. And we actually have to make sure that as Auro really starts to take a hold and we start to really push into supporting lots of other centres and ultimately lots of teachers, whānau and ultimately children, we have to make sure that those sorts of principles are really adhered to, that those stay out in front as the real big things that we have to keep working on.
And those layers too, because not every child that we see will need to have an individual plan. Just purely going in and supporting that family with our parenting stuff, like that's going to help. That could be what they need. Or just going in and supporting a teaching team around certain behaviours or things that they're seeing, that could be enough. So it's really understanding the layers as well.
Yes. Yeah. So we really are excited. I know we'll keep momentum. We're going to keep talking through some of the stuff we're doing with Auro. Rose is really spearheading a lot of this stuff, and I know it's turned into sort of a passion that we didn't even really know we were landing on.
Dreaming about it.
Yeah, to the point that we're all kind of living in that realm. But we look forward to really seeing Auro progress and sharing all the success that we have and all the learnings that we have in the future.
Making a difference.
Up to us.